Hey, it's Christina, and this is Module 19. Wow. Let's just take a moment to just congratulate ourselves on how far we've come. Module 19, that's an amazing accomplishment. That's amazing. In this module, we're going to be talking about how to build a community and how to monetize that community, especially in a way that feels good and doesn't feel like you're just sell, 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 sell all the time. This is going to be part one. There's actually going to be several parts to this module. This is probably actually going to be our biggest module yet. I am suspecting there's probably going to be a good 5 or 6 videos, a lot of handouts. There's a lot to this one. It's probably the most complicated, but it is the most profitable in my opinion. I really didn't start hitting, I always kind of hovered around between about 1 to 2,000. If it was a really good month, I might have made like $3,000 that month between the hotlines, my Etsy store, selling on Facebook, and then I also had a course once upon a time called Aligning with the Angelic Realm, and that was a 7-week course that I sold for, I can't even remember. I think I sold it for like $44 back in the day. And it was just an audio course, and it had like a little bit of text to it. And I had a good 30 to 40 people in that course. And then I started realizing just how profitable Facebook groups are, especially when it comes to selling a course or a package or a membership program and things like that. Those are all things we're going to kind of get into. We're going to touch very briefly on that in this module, but it's actually going to be next month that I'm going to go into more depth about how to actually get your coaching package together and or your membership site and or your course that you want to sell, because that deserves a whole module of its own because it's just as interactive. So this module, I really just want to prepare you for what's involved in running the group. I want you to put some thought into where you're going to go with this. We're going to be meeting on the 29th for a content group coaching program. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. You'll be able to ask me questions. We'll be able to talk about it and get a little bit more clarity and just kind of see where it's going. The thing is, you don't have to have something like that is completely sellable right away when you start your group. You can work on that in the meantime, but I do recommend that you have at least something, like you have like a really good freebie or a really good opt-in, or even something that you're charging, $27, $44 or $97 for, something kind of low end when it comes to course wise. And that's going to just make it a lot easier to just go ahead and jump in. But I don't want you to freak out if you don't know exactly how you're going to sell what you're going to sell, but I do want you to have some sort of idea of what you want to sell, and I'm going to go into this more as we go on. So we did our challenge 2 weeks ago, the Develop a Brand That Bewitches and Converts Like Magic, that 5-day series, that 5-day challenge that we did. If you haven't done that already, I highly recommend you go do that first before you do this module, because that 5 days that we had together with the challenge, that's really going to uncover a lot of your identity as a person, about who you are as a business person, who you are as an individual. Is going to tell you a lot more. It's going to give you a lot more insight into who you are and what you sell and that sort of thing. So you can just go ahead and move on to this module if you want, but I highly recommend, if you have the time, to stop right here, go do that 5-day challenge, and then come back to this. So in that 5-day challenge, you really started uncovering who you are. We did the Pinterest board where we discovered we got this legitimate snapshot, this real tangible snapshot of who our most authentic true self is. Not necessarily who we think we want to be or what we think we are or what other people want us to be, but it was the most honest way of looking at the energy that we are actually putting out, because we have all of these ideas about who we are and what we represent and things like that, and it's very real for us. But if you're not displaying that energy, you actually might be giving a different sort of energy off. And so I think it's an important way to really see what your energy really looks like having an honest snapshot of what your energy looks like, so that you can tweak that, and you can move it in one direction, or you can expand on it in other directions, or you can figure out, hey, I really don't like how this looks at all, so I'm going to try something else. So it's an important part of the puzzle. I highly recommend you go back and do that. I also mentioned that I think you should not only do the Pinterest board for who you are, who you want to be in your business, but I also think that you should go back and, knowing what you know now, create a Pinterest board that is specifically for the vibe of your group. So that's a little bit different, because you're taking yourself out of the individual wants and needs, and then you're kind of putting in this, you're looking at it from a group perspective, from a larger perspective than just yourself, and what you actually want the group, because the group is really just a magical energetic container vessel for your energy and the energy for your ideal clients, right? It's that magical container of energy that flows. It directs people to it, or it either does two things. It either directs people to it that are like you and that are your ideal clients and that would probably do well to work with you, who you don't really have to sell that hard to, because they already kind of know that they get along with you, that they like you, they like your energy, they like what you teach. Or, we're going to talk about this here in a little bit too, is that it's going to repel people. And it's such a great filter to learn, because here's the thing, if you find someone that you like and you have them in mind and you want to work with them, you want to teach them whatever, you want them to hire you, part of it is, I call these your soulmate clients, in a way that you have to fall in love with them and they have to also fall in love with you. And there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than going through 6 months of nurturing a relationship with a potential lead and then wanting to get them to hire you, and then you realize all along that they never intended to hire you, that you actually don't vibe as well as you think, and all of that connection that you had was really surface level. So the group allows you to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's like, it's almost like the inception of target marketing. It allows you to go deeper and connect with these people on a daily basis and find out what they think, find out how they think, why they think the way that they do. And as you connect with those people, they're either going to leave or they're going to stay, and they're going to become increasingly more motivated to work with you. So it's a really great way to market to people, but also to form connections with people and to find out right away whether they're actually going to be a good fit for you or not. And you can tell, because there's this whole thing about, like, the persona, the personality that people put on with you as the service or product provider, right? And this whole energy of who they are, like, in their private life, right? And for me personally, my business is personal. Like, my personal life is my business. I tend to not put too much of a line in the sand between either of them. And you'll learn a lot about people. You'll learn a lot about people, about how they interact with other people. If they come into the group and they're constantly fighting, or they're constantly coming in with a bad mood, or they're arguing with everything that you say, you know that even though you might have thought you wanted to work with them, chances are you're going to realize really quick that their energy is crap and you don't want to work with them, right? So it's like, having your group is a lot like doing investigative work, market research, and it's almost like you're doing detective work. You're trying to figure out, okay, if you're constantly surprised by someone's answers in a good way, and you're constantly like, oh my gosh, this person is always coming in with a good attitude, they're always on it, they're always helping other people, they're always supporting people, they're always showing up to my live streams, they always do my challenges, they always go through my series, they always get a lot out of my work, then I know then that is a relationship that is a person that I really want to put a lot of effort and energy into, because I know that by the way that they respond to what I'm already putting out there, that they're going to get a lot out of what I'm doing, right? And so the last few weeks, it's been a little tough, especially on day 2 when we did the whole inner child thing. We learned about the sacral chakra and how you've been wounded as a child has a lot to do with your blocks regarding money and being seen. Like, shame and embarrassment was a really big one for a lot of people. Same here. My earliest memory was around 3 years old. It was shame. around being seen. I was shamed by someone in a group setting, and I realized that being seen was not necessarily a good thing because I equated that to shame and embarrassment, which equals pain, emotional pain. And so I had to do a lot of inner work. I had to do a lot of journaling. I had to do a lot of um, block removal and healing when it came to being seen. And then once I started doing that, then no longer was I carrying around that chip on my shoulder about how being seen is something that is negative or that is, because emotions get trapped inside based off of like these traumatic experiences, and it's almost like your body responds biologically through fear, anxiety, apprehension, hesitancy, that sort of thing. That's your natural response, because that negative, we always remember the negative 10 times, 100 times more than we remember the one positive. Or let me backtrack. We remember the one negative like 100 times more than we remember like the 10 positives, right? It just kind of like whoop, just goes out the window. We just kind of forget about it because that negative emotion is so trapped, and it's such a block in us, and a block in our chi and our energy, our life force, that we're like going like this, and we're digging our heels into the ground, and we're saying, no, I don't want to go through that again. It was too painful. And then your body responds, and then your mind responds, and you have this whole thing where you have to break that pattern, and you have to almost find and intentionally put yourself in these scary situations to retrain your mind and your body to believe that, one, either shame and embarrassment is part of life, and you can come to terms with that and accept that, and you can laugh it off. You can find the humor in it, which is the way that I dealt with it. I've learned to find the humor in it, and I laugh at myself. Or that it's not always going to be that way, and that is one very small chance. And if it does happen, so what? It doesn't define you as a person. And there's this whole thing about, you have to go into it, you have to heal it through whatever modalities. For me, it was, I did a lot of yoga, I did a lot of shadow work with tarot, I did a lot of natal astrology and things like that to learn about like why I might be the way that I am. But then I also did a lot of, psychology, and I did a lot of like psychoanalytical, spiritual type journaling and things like that. And I hired coaches and I talked with people about it. So however you need to deal with it is how you need to deal with it, because I guarantee you that the way that you feel about it right now is definitely not the way that it is in the real world, and not just like the world that we've made up inside of our minds. So it's very difficult to do, but it's totally worth it. And the reason why I'm even talking about this right now is because to run a group, you have to realize that you have to be seen and heard. And if you are carrying around these chips, if you're carrying around these blocks, you're going to find that running a group is going to be extremely difficult for you, because as a group leader, as a community leader, you are the role model. You are the example. You are that person that speaks for everyone else, right? And you have the obligation of taking all of the shit for everything, because you're the one that's responsible. You're claiming responsibility for these people, right? And for whatever happens in your group. Ultimately, you have to realize that whatever happens in your group is ultimately your responsibility, whether you were or are involved in that or not. These people are going to be looking at you to speak your mind, to tell them your opinions, to give them your expert advice, to tell them how you think about things. And to do that, you have to be visible. And we first find out, it has a lot to do with figuring out who is the real you. What are your actual beliefs? What do you believe? What do you stand for? What is your actual perspective, right? How do you view yourself? How do you view the world? How do you view your role in the world? And you're going to find these patterns that you find yourself like getting into habitually. And it starts with the awareness of locking into that pattern and almost deconstructing that pattern, seeing if that's a pattern that can be used constructively to help you to further your career, to further your business, to make more money, or if it's a pattern that actually keeps you from making money and it keeps you from being visible, it keeps you small, it keeps you, and the bottom line is, if it's a pattern that keeps you from accepting full responsibility and accepting full accountability for yourself and for, your message and your group and what it is that you want to be out there teaching, educating, showing people how to do, that realness, that is the truth of it. That is the realness of it. And it's not about it being good or bad. It's just about coming to that awareness and then tweaking that energy, right? So we're all going to have different things. For me, it was about being visible, but we did this whole thing. Like, it was day 2. If you want to go back and watch that video, there was stuff like people were, their first memory was getting in the middle of their parents having a fight, so they felt like they always have to be like that person that gets in between people, right? Or for example, there was a whole bunch of stuff about self-sacrifice, feeling like they have to sacrifice what they want for the greater good of everybody else and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of different blocks out there, and if you want to talk through this, I highly recommend you post in the group. Nobody's going to judge you there. We just going to talk it out. We're not going to try to like change your perspective necessarily, but we're going to give you the ability, we're going to give you the opportunity to see it for what it really is, and so you can change that on your own, which is the more powerful way of changing that energy, changing those patterns, and putting a stop to those patterns that are not necessarily like beneficial to you. My dog is chasing my cat. Okay. So your success really starts with having the most honest conversation with yourself. It's, that dialogue between your inner child and your adult. We talked about this. And it's that you have this sacred duty of protecting that inner child. And that inner child is where your creation, where your most authentic, joyful creation vortex really lives. And if that inner child knows that they are protected, if that inner child knows that it's safe to play, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to come up with content, to get into your vortex, to feel that joy every single day, and to start actually loving your business. And the more that you love your business, the more it's going to love you back. That's just how it works. The more you love your business, the more you believe in it, the more money you're going to make, because your confidence, your energy is contagious, and ultimately that's what people want to buy. They want to buy your energy, your confidence, your knowledge, your expertise, whatever it is that you have that they don't, or whatever you represent of where they want to be or where they see themselves going. That's what people really want to buy, right? So you've given yourself, your inner child, that ally. Very important. You're now your inner child ally. You can now talk to your inner child, process through those things, say, no, it's actually okay, we're safe, we can play, and all of these blocks, we're going to be working on that. It's probably not going to happen overnight, probably not going to happen within a few months. It might take several years to get rid of these burdens that keep us, these chains that keep us small and almost like hiding in plain sight, you know what I mean? So now you need to give your inner child some friends to play with. And those aspects of yourself, those blocks actually that I'm talking about, your wounds, is where you're actually going to find what you help people with the most, okay? So for example, I teach a lot about how to be visible. I teach about live streaming. I teach about marketing. I teach a strategy on how to get people to click on your stuff and how to get people to show up and take part in what it is that you're teaching or educating or, showing people how to do. And the reason why that's so important for me is because my biggest block, my biggest struggle was around visibility, right? So it's always going to come back to your wounds. So whatever you're wounded about is where you are going to shine the brightest, because it's literally your transformational story of where it sucked for you, life was not good, and you wished it could be better, and then you went on this hero's journey, and you dealt with, you slayed the dragon, which is really the big block, the monster, and you overcame that, and then you come home the hero, and then you teach other people how to do that too, right? So for you, it might be, especially if you like to work with people with depression and anxiety, it might be how you managed, I don't want to say cured your depression or anxiety, because I'm not sure that depression or anxiety can ever be really cured, but how you have learned to deal with your depression and anxiety. Maybe you did that through tarot or oracle work. However, and that's going to be like what you're going to niche down in, is teaching other people how to get over their depression and anxiety, or not get over it, but how to deal with it in more constructive ways versus the self-harming ways, right? So there's these struggles, these aspects, these traumas in your own psyche that you're going to learn how to heal within yourself, and then you're going to teach that to other people. And that's why it's so important to do the inner work. You can't have a successful business without doing the inner work. I suppose you could if you were born into a lot of money and you had a bunch of money to hire people to run your businesses for you, but that's not the majority. That's not anybody I know in this group, or anybody I know like ever. I mean, a lot of us, most of us are self-made people. Most of us have come from nothing. Like, I've come from nothing. I was born into a single parent household, right around poverty line, and we didn't have money. We didn't have money. I didn't have money to go to college. I paid for all of that stuff myself. You know what I mean? So it's like I didn't get I nothing has been given to me, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of you are going to resonate with that, because a lot of you are in that same situation, right? Like attracts like. These are my wounds. These are my things that I've healed within myself to teach other people. So basically, by you showing up, is you are shining that light out, and you are almost acting like as a lighthouse for all of these lost ships that are coming in that are looking for something more. And the more you broadcast yourself, the more you show up, the more you talk about your story, the more you talk about your pain and your struggles and your traumas, it's all part of it. It's all part of the business. Because if you show up every day and put on this air, this face, that everything's perfect and everything's good, you're not going to form connections with people. People are going to be skeptical of you. People are going to be like, wow, this person doesn't even seem real. And people are going to be able to pick up on that energy. So you never want to be like, you don't want to like show up and like be a total bitch or be like total rant mode and things like that. But you always want to have some sort of constructive way to flip it around. And this is what we call alchemy. We transmute the negative, the perceived negative, the traumas, the blocks, the biological, mental, emotional responses that we deem as negative or unwanted, and we transmute that into something constructive. And we do this through our work. We do this through workshops and series and challenges and all these things that you're going to do in your group. All of these live streams that you're going to end up doing. You're going to talk about this. And a lot of it is, you can plan some of it, but a lot of it is in the moment. A lot of it is like what you're dealing with right now. And people do want to know. They want to know what's going on in your life, and they want to know how you're dealing with it. Because let's face it, there's never going to be a point where your life is 100% good and happy and you have everything figured out and you never have any bad days and nobody ever talks shit to you, nobody sends you hate mail, and that doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. In fact, just to prepare you, the more visible you get, the more that you're going to see these different types of energies and peoples that are going to try to take you down because they don't like what it is that you stand for. So whatever it is you stand for, in most cases, that person is either profiting or they're getting some type of control out of it. And so they want to shut you up. That's just how it is. So you're going to find, actually, as you become more popular, as you get more people in your circle, as you show up more, you almost have to grow this second, third, fourth, fifth, like really tough skin it's going to grow you as a person, basically, is what I'm trying to say. You're going to learn how to deal with conflict in a much different way. You're going to become less and less and less emotionally triggered by a lot of things, especially when people just talk shit about you for no reason. I mean, this happened. This is like, I get at least probably 2 haters a month that cause problems. They want to take me down, and it's because either they're saying something different that gives them some measure of control over whomever they're saying it to, or that person is severely wounded and has a lot of blocks to overcome and is nowhere near the level of where they need to be able to receive my education, receive my information. You're going to find this no matter what stage, no matter if you're making no matter if you're only making $500 a month or you're making $1 million a month, you're going to find this at every single level. And so that's something you need to really understand and get used to right away. And if you don't feel like you have the ability to come to these situations and look at it as a learning experience, as a growing experience, as an experience to evolve you as a person, it's just like the hotlines. When you get on the hotlines, yes, it is profitable. Yes, you are helping people in a way, and yes, you are making a difference in people's lives, but you're always going to get those people that you can't control, right? And so it's the same way with your group. Now, the hotlines is absolutely nothing like the group, but it's still that same thing that no matter what you do, you're not going to make every single person happy. There's always going to be someone out there that's going to try to dismantle what it is that you're doing, and that's why this part one is so important too, because we're going to be going over your mission, your message, your creed, your manifesto, all of those things that you intrinsically believe and stand for, and your group believes and stands for, because you need this unshakable foundation so that when someone starts throwing rocks at you and starts talking crap or starts trying to, almost like question your integrity and question your teachings and tell you that you're wrong and all this kind of stuff, when you have this unshakable foundation, when you do the journaling work that you're going to be going through today, then you're going to not be as bothered by these people because you have these things that you believe, right? And it's really important. And these people are looking for you. These people that actually really want to work with you and really want to be where you are, they are desperately searching for you. But the thing is they can't find you if you're still hiding or you're trying to do this alone. And it all comes back to the group, the tribe mentality. The tribe is non-negotiable. Nobody does anything alone. Nobody builds anything substantial by themselves. Nobody builds anything long-lasting, everlasting by themselves. It's always a group effort. The group is always going to take you further than what you can individually do. That's just how it works. So whether you create your own tribe or whether you decide to make someone else's tribe your tribe and you join that tribe, it doesn't matter. As long as you get into a tribe that you really vibe with and you feel like you can really be who you are and you don't have to edit any part of yourself, that's where you're going to let your guard down. That's where you're going to become less and less scared or hesitant or apprehensive about showing up. And so it's really interesting because it's not really about like who you are, right? It's not really about that. It's not about like how much you weigh or how pretty you are or what ethnicity you are or what gender you are or how rich you are or how good looking you are. All of these things that we run ourselves through to tell ourselves that why we can't do something. And isn't it interesting how all of that stuff never doesn't matter anymore when you are in a tribe that just accepts you for who you are. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's rarely ever about the physical. It's rarely ever about what you look like, how smart you are, if you deserve it or not. All of these things that we tell ourselves that really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As long as you show up, you're going to find the people that are just like you, who value the same thing, who believe the same thing, or at least want to. They desire to value that or to believe that. They just need you to show them the way. So consistently showing up, talking about your struggles, connecting empathetically with potential clients, saying, yeah, I know, I've been there, it sucks, I feel you. Those are things I say all the time. I feel you, that sucks, I've been there, I remember that, I'm sorry, that sort of thing. Like acknowledging that it sucks for them, and then leading, and then showing up every day and basically leading by example of how you change that for yourself. And that's one of the most efficient and quickest ways to actually connect with your potential clients, because it's a trust building exercise. You're showing them, yes, I know, I've been there, I've been there, it sucks, but this is what could be, and this is where I am, and this is, I'm showing you the light at the end of the tunnel here. And it takes a measure of bravery to discuss these things. And like I said, you become the leader, you become the role model, you become the open book. Um, this is where we start talking about things such as transparency and authenticity and integrity and genuinity. Genuinity? I think that's how you say that word. I'm not sure. But it always gives me problems. Ingenuity. Something like that. But here's the thing. So that's how you get them to trust you. And it's not that it's not like you're trying to bribe them into trusting you, but people by nature are not trusting, right? There's so many experiences out there, there's so many examples out there, there's so many horror stories out there that have almost primed and prepped people to be skeptical and non-trusting, and everybody's always wondering what the hidden agenda is and the conspiracy is and all that kind of stuff. And when it comes to selling, and at least selling easily and effortlessly and in a way that feels good, the trust is a non-negotiable aspect of it, because when it comes to asking people to invest in your products and your services, and more importantly, you're asking them to trust in investing in themselves. There's always the two parts of it. There's always you showing up and giving value and developing that trust, but then they also have to trust themselves too, to invest in themselves. And that's why, it takes people so long. Sometimes it'll take people a couple months or a year. I continually have people that have worked with me like a year, 2 years, 3 years ago that come back and you're like, okay, now I'm ready to actually invest bigger amounts with you. They have to go through this journey. So not only do you have to go through this journey, but they have to go through the journey too. And you can only meet people where they are. You can push them, and you'll notice in the group, I'll put out some triggering things, and I'll piss people off on purpose. It's because I'm trying to find the people that actually want to do the work and who are ready to step up. It's not because I want to like upset people or I want to make people have a bad day or anything like that. It's because I want to show people, I want to shine a light on the dark spots where people have on their blocks, and I want to get them to be motivated to move out of that. And one way to do that is to, talk about ways in which the clients don't trust themselves, however that comes up for you. If you're going to teach how to do intuitive reading instead of academic reading or systematic reading, which is what I do, a blend of both, actually. I started out as an academic reader, which is more like astrology and numerology and elemental dignities and like correspondences and things like that, whereas intuitive reading is more like you look at the card, you describe the picture, you talk about what the energy makes you feel like, and you go off of more, it's more of an empathic type of a way of reading, you where you empathically connect to the card itself, the imagery on the card and how it makes you feel. Now, if the client doesn't trust their intuitive abilities, then they're not going to get very far with reading intuitively, right? So you might put out some content that's like, why don't you trust your intuitive abilities? And talking about why people don't trust their intuitive abilities and what that's really doing for them and why it's blocking them, why it's making them stand in their own way. So it all depends on what you want to sell, what your message is, and all that kind of stuff, how you're actually going to trigger people. But in some way, the people that don't trust themselves, they're in your group, they're in your circle because they are looking for you for that trust. Obviously, you represent the trust in something. You represent the trust, the belief, the trust and belief in what you sell, correct? So in a way, you are the surrogate trust. You are the bridge between them trusting themselves. They need to get to a point where they can actually do that. And when you show up every single day, you continually build on that trust, and that trust is exponential. And then eventually, when they begin to trust themselves, then you can work on them, simultaneously. They learn to trust you, and then it just happens. The switch flips, and most of you who have invested in this course can relate to that. Maybe you've been in the heart-centered group for 6 months or a year, and you all of a sudden it was just night and day. You just woke up and you were ready. It's because you have to teach people how to trust themselves first before they can trust you, but you can also do it simultaneously, which is like what I'm talking about with the whole inception aspect of the group and developing trust and using it as a really efficient marketing tool. Because when you do that, then it's like you're getting them from both angles. You're getting them to do their own work, and you're also getting them to see that what they want is possible, and you are the embodiment of that. You are the role model of that. And you do that by continually showing up, continually giving value, and that sort of thing. Holding that space for that transformational healing, that transformational process to occur for them, right? Holding that vessel. And so energy says everything. And when people are able to pick up on that distrust, and so that's why you have to trust yourself too, which is why I recommend that you only focus on one thing in your group. One thing. Because if you're trying to do 30 things, you're trying to sell 30 different products and services, chances are you haven't fully developed a measure of trust with at least a couple of those products or services. And so when you go to sell them, people are going to pick up on that. They're going to feel that disconnect between your energy. So for me personally, my group, I only sell one-on-one sessions or packages, coaching packages, which is, I take basically through this course, I just take them through that, or I work with them one-on-one, or I do like technical support. Like, say for example, someone's having issues with like their opt-in, I'll do a session with them where I'll take them through it, I'll walk them through the process, they'll get it set up. They need that extra hand, and people can either hire me on one-on-one sessions, like one-off sessions, or they can hire me for 3 months at a time. Or I sell my course. So I recommend doing at least one thing that you know for sure you're going to sell, like 100% of the time. Like you're not going to just sell it for, here's the thing too. Like when I first started this particular group was last September. I had this fancy notion in my head how one quarter I would sell my mixed hero business course, one quarter I would sell my astrology course, one quarter I would sell my psychic development course, one quarter I would sell, and I had all of these courses that I was going to try to sell and launch and stuff. And, one of my coaches, she goes, yeah, that's probably not going to work out. You should probably just sell one thing. And in defiance, I tried to do that for 2 quarters in a row, and I crashed and burned. I really didn't make any money. And what I realized is that I was leaving a lot of money on the table by, like, basically what my block was abandonment, okay? So my block was abandonment. I realized that, I had this habitual pattern of creating really good content and then abandoning it and moving on to the next thing. And some of that was because I have been abandoned in my life by my father, so that was a learned trait. Before things get too good, you want to abandon it. So it's almost like you're rejecting it before it can reject you. And number 2, I thought that I had to get it all out right away because I thought that it was about, like, it was desperation mode, okay? That's what it really was. It's because I wasn't making as much money as I really wanted to be making, and as in, like, being actually comfortable. Now I'm comfortable. Like, once you get to a point where you're making enough to be comfortable, then that's when it happens like this, and that's just the way it happens. But once you get to a point where you're comfortable and you can actually feed yourself and you can pay your bills, and maybe you have a little bit extra for a deck here and there, then the world kind of just slows down, right? Like, I stopped doing that where I was trying to churn out new content, and coming up with all these brilliant ideas, and I was trying to reinvent the wheel so many times. And it was because I was coming out of desperation mode. I was looking for that one thing. I was, like, continually trying to come up with my next brilliant idea because I thought the stuff that I had wasn't brilliant enough because I wasn't getting that validation through selling it, right? I wasn't getting that monetary validation. And once I got through about halfway through this year, maybe a quarter of this year, someplace between a quarter to halfway through this year, I realized that I was burning myself out. I was creating courses and all this kind of stuff, and I was so busy, but I wasn't ever making any money. And I think a lot of you can relate to that. I think a lot of you struggle with that, and that's you realize that now. And the reason why is because you're not giving the full potential of the things that you've already created. You're not giving it enough time. You're not giving it enough nurturance. So, you're going to learn from your own path. You're going to learn from your own mistakes, and if you don't choose to listen to me today, in 6 months, you may be like, oh yeah, I should have listened to her. I could have saved myself a lot of time, and I could have made a lot more money. But teaching is a funny thing because I can only say what I can say and I can tell you. And at that point, when I was talking to one of my coaches and she was like, that's not going to work, I was like, oh no, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. I don't believe you. And I had to go and I had to fall on my nose and I had to stumble and I had to be poor and I had to be broken, miserable and pissed off, and to finally get to that point where I was like, okay, all right, I'll listen. And then I realized, okay, well, I can just work on the Make Terrier business for one whole year. I can make that something really substantial, something really comprehensive and intense. And then next year I get started on the astrology course. And then, I started out with like a 1-year plan. And then that turned into like a 4-year plan. And then a 5-year plan. And then from there, I just started relaxing more and relaxing more. And the more and more I relaxed about it, it's so weird, but the more money I started to make because I started pitching my Make Terrier business course once a month-ish. I do the challenges every quarter, once every quarter, and those are the last month of every quarter is my highest. Those are my 5K months. And the other months are sometimes 2, 3, 4K sometimes. But it's interesting how that works. And so I hope you listen. I hope you're listening to me right now, and I hope you take this to heart, and I hope you give this a try because I would really love to, if we have to have this conversation in 6 months, then we have to have it. But, it's really funny how I see myself actually being my coach back now as she was back then to me. And it's just funny because you're gonna see yourself doing this as time goes on. You're gonna see yourself saying the same thing that I'm saying right now and stuff like that to people, and it's humbling, and it's just honestly it's a good place to be. So you have to really be honest about who you are, and you have to fearlessly love every aspect of you. Even the parts that you hate, you have to love to hate them in a way. You have to love all of it, and you have to know yourself. And you need to know your pain. Your pain is part of your story, your struggle. You need to know how you changed your own life, right? And how your own circumstances before you can even begin to try to help someone else or to teach someone else. Because if you don't know how you actually helped yourself, or you can't actually form into words what it is that you're doing, how it actually helped people, chances are people are not going to, you're not going to have enough trust built between, because it's always going to seem something elusive. So when it comes to your story, you really have to develop that. That has to be number one. That's why this whole entire course, it starts with your big why. Why are you doing this, right? What have you changed in your own life? And also your unique personality, who you are, the motley crew of all of these different aspects of your personality, of who you are, is your biggest selling point. For real. It's your biggest selling point. Your transformational story, your unique personality. Those are your biggest selling points. The easiest ways that you can vet people to see if they actually want to work with you or if they're going to be an ideal client. Once you know your pain, and once you can process your own pain, and you can look at your pain, and you can, from there, that's how you connect to people. That's how people know that you're actually feeling what they're feeling, or you have felt what they're feeling. People don't want to invest in people who don't have a clue about what they're going through, right? So people inherently, they need to know that they're not alone. We are a communal species. That's how we're hardwired. And one of the best ways is to be visible, to create your own energy creation vortex, right? We talked about this in the challenge. And this is called your community. It's your tribe. It's your sisterhood or brotherhood, or if you're going to do co-ed or whatever it is for you. It's your place. It's your people. It's your group. And so whatever it is that you build, whether you are going to be adopted into a different tribe, whether you want to make my tribe your tribe, you want to become a member of my tribe, a leader of my tribe, on the council of my tribe, which you're all welcome to do, or if you want to create your own tribe, or you want to do both, or you want to do a local community, or whatever it is that you want to do. This module is not limited to Facebook groups, but Facebook groups is one of the easiest ways to kind of get your feet wet, and because not only does Facebook groups come with a lot of different bells and whistles, like there's Facebook Lives, you can create events and all this kind of stuff, but it's a great stepping stone. It's the online hub. So no matter if you do a local community, no matter what, you are still going to need that online space. So it's going to assist you in so many ways other than just being your online club, right? And you need to build a place that gives people the opportunity to feel welcome, to feel accepted, to feel like they don't have to filter themselves or change anything about themselves other than bettering themselves, right? Like, you don't want people to come in and be like, oh, well, you don't want negative people to come in and then it be like, oh, well, I accept your negativity. Like, there has to be some sort of bottom line, and the bottom line is to better oneself, right? And people need to become part of something greater than themselves. And that gives people the courage and the strength to face this negativity that they're carrying around, these unpleasant emotions and these struggles, this pain. It gives them the place to face that, right? And furthermore, it's your opportunity to serve. And as you serve, when you make it about service, the money just naturally comes. As you serve, the ideas come. And you can't do it alone, and you need help. You need a tribe, you need the community. It helps you just as much as it helps them. It's a very symbiotic relationship. So the benefits of having the tribe for them is that people belong somewhere, a need is met, a solution is provided to them based on your teaching or what you're showing up to give value on. For you personally, you have a reason to show up every day, and it's not about you, and it's not only about you and what you need, but it's also about them. And you also get an unlimited amount of inspiration. This is free market research this is priceless. I don't think people understand. Businesses spend thousands, millions of dollars every year on market research. And here you have this beautiful prime place to ask your target audience questions and see what they want from you, and figure out how they think and how they tick and how they buy and what they want to buy and why they want to buy. While there's businesses out there that are spending thousands, if not millions of dollars trying to figure out the same information, right? So your group is really priceless. It really, really is. It's worth more than gold. It's worth more than all the diamonds in the world, because you're getting information that otherwise people have to spend a lot of money on, right? And you're getting it all for free in return for holding that space for them. And it's a great relationship. They're getting something, you're getting something. And when people talk about what they're struggling with, guess what? I write it down. I write down a workshop idea. I create a workshop, or I create a training, or I create a module. And at this point, I never have periods anymore where I have no idea what I'm doing, or I'm struggling to come up with content. Now, at this point, how long have we been? September. We've been in this group for this group is 1 year old this year, this month of this year, September. I believe I created this September 16th of last year, somewhere around there. This is like I think this is my third group that I've had. Third or fourth, I can't remember. But the thing is that it's like I struggle to find time to do things now. Now it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of booked out like a month ahead. I've got all of these trainings. I know what I'm doing to the end of the year. And all I have to do is show up and just create. It's like I never have to rack my brain trying to figure out what I'm doing anymore. It's all done for me. All I have to do is show up and just give the people what they want. That's what being in service is you're providing something what the people want. So as long as it's on target for what ultimately you're going to sell, or you can monetize it in some way, those are really the only stipulations that you should follow. And another thing too is try to follow more closely what the people that have already invested in you, like the people that show up all the time, they invest their time and energy, they're constantly helping other people in the group, they're giving you feedback. Listen to those people, make those people a priority. The other people that are just there for the free stuff, and you don't really get a good vibe off of them, you know that they're probably not going to buy, that sort of thing, put that stuff lower on the list. So if you're ever like bored or you have a cancellation or something like that, or something happens, I don't anticipate this would happen, but if something did happen, you would have all of these other little things that you can put together for your freebies or your opt-ins and stuff like that. So, there's levels to it. We're going to talk about that in part 2, the different types of members and what they contribute to your group. We're going to talk about the missionaries and the low-level content creation type of people and stuff like that. It all has a place, and it's all a cog in the working system of a really healthy, functional, running, profitable business. Okay, so first things first, you need to know what you're selling. There is a worksheet in here. It's called What Am I Selling? Go ahead and download that. And so first things first, you are running a business, and businesses make money. So repeat that as many times as you need to. I'm running a business, and businesses make money. I'm running a business, and businesses make money. I'm running a business, and businesses make money. Okay? That is like, you need to get in touch with that right away, and that needs to be the focus. Yes, it is about the service. Yes, it is about the community aspect and things like that, but you're doing this to make money. So don't forget that part. So if you're still struggling with that concept, there's some place within you, there's some block, there's some trauma, there's some pain within you that still doesn't believe that helping people and making money are not mutually exclusive ideals. So you need to work on that. Yes, you can make money, and yes, you can help people, and yes, it can be fun, and yes, it can be easy. Those are parts of my creed, my manifesto. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. So building your intentional community needs to be based around what you sell, but wide enough to encompass a lot of your general interests and passions. Because if you don't set it up that way, you're going to feel stifled. You're going to feel like you're trapped. You're a rodent trapped in a trap. Like you're not going to be able to get out, and it's going to feel claustrophobic. So it needs to be like wide enough. What you sell needs to be specialized, but the content that you create needs to be surrounding what you sell, but wide enough to encompass a lot of passions and general interests that are around what you sell, right? So, but it needs to be carefully crafted enough that there is like this symbiotic relationship between the value you are bringing, the things that you're showing up and giving, and the next logical step of actually hiring you for your time and experience. So you always need to have some sort of upsell. So since most of my students are tarot or oracle based, we'll just start there. So your group will have like one of two focuses starting out mainly. Basically, it'll be one of two of these, or inevitably, eventually, it could be a hybrid. My group is a little bit of a hybrid, but it's actually more focus 2. I can get away with doing a little bit of focus 1 because I have experience as being the service provider and as being the teacher educator of that said service. So it just depends on what it is you actually want to sell. We need to talk about that. It's not something I can generalize or give you the 5-minute summary is. We need to hash it out. We need to talk about it. And we're going to be doing a call on the 29th where you're going to get an opportunity to talk with me about that. So the focus number 1 is client-based. And the first focus is to position your group as the platform for teaching and educating your potential and current clients with the goal of selling and marketing your services, aka your tarot readings or your mediumship readings or your astrology readings, whatever spiritual services that you're going to actually sell. Your group needs to be educational and a teaching opportunity based on that. For example, so the pros, actually, let's do it this way. So if you do it this way, don't allow cross promotion. So you wouldn't want to allow it would be a non-promo group. You wouldn't want to allow other professionals to come in and try to teach your clients the same thing, because the goal is you're going to be teaching them, you're going to be educating them to eventually hire you. You don't want to do all of this education for someone to come in and swoop in and to take these people that you've been working on educating and working on priming. So you need to get really clear in the very beginning is you need to figure out, are you going to allow promos or are you not going to allow promos? The first focus group is basically no promos, and it's all going to be about your experience, your workshops, your programs, your coaching, your membership site, all that kind of stuff, right? The pro is that you are the one and only authority and the expert of your group. So basically, all clients will come to you, and you won't have to deal with, competition or people trying to horn in and like take advantage of all of your time and effort that you've put into your group to build your group and grow your audience. And you don't want other people to come in and try to, I guess try to just take advantage of that and off all of your hard work. So decide right away if you want to do promos or no promos. And this is the easiest way to really fill up your one-on-one group sessions. This is going to be like really easy to do, like sell your readings. Like it's just going to be so much easier because you're talking about like all of these complementary things. So like say for example, if you were selling tarot readings and astrology readings, you might talk a little bit about just a tiny bit about like astrology and what the sun sign and moon sign mean, and then you would upsell them to get a sun sign and moon sign reading and how it relates to so and so. Or if you are a tarot reader and your focus is more on like self-care, you might do classes on self-care like yoga and healthy foods and things like that. All of these things that are complementary to your services, but not necessarily teaching other people how to read tarot cards or how to, you don't want to eliminate your position. The con of the focus one is that the bulk of the entertaining and educating falls onto you. So, you're going to have to show up a lot more. You're going to be the main source of entertainment, the main source of education. So people are going to be looking to you, but at the same time, you can just take it as much as you want because it's really just like a complimentary group where they can have access to you, where it's like limited access instead of being in your inbox all the time or asking you 1,000 questions every single day about everything. You can address it more in a group process and you can educate the group. So for example, if you get someone that you've been reading with for a long time and they're like, I really want to start yoga. How do I do that? What's the best way to start that? Chances are there's probably 10 other people in your group who have the same exact question. So instead of just helping the one person one-on-one, which is, it's good, but it's not as efficient with your time, you would go into the group and you'd be like, you tell that person, oh, okay, well, I'll post something in the group or I'll do a live stream on it, and then you can come into the live group, or you can come to the group, do a live stream or do like a workshop on it or something, and then you can answer all 10 people's questions at the same time instead of just the one person. So it's all about working smarter, not harder, right? So for example, you wouldn't start a group with a focus on teaching tarot reading techniques and expect to sell tarot readings, right? Because if you teach tarot, then you are eliminating your position. So there's a disconnect there. Will you sell some tarot readings? Sure, but selling them is going to be super hard because the market your group is appealing to is the people who want to learn tarot instead of buying tarot readings. They would rather learn how to read tarot than purchase a reading from you, right? So if you want to harness your group to sell readings, you'll want to educate your clients on self-help methods and other strategies other than tarot that would complement a tarot reading or, a spiritual life coaching session, whatever it is you want to do. You could teach about meditation and mindfulness and journaling, but you're not going to teach about tarot. Does that make sense? And if you do teach about tarot, it's going to be very surface level. It's going to be non-specific, very vague, and it's just basically there to entice them to want to learn more about how tarot can help them. But you would never want to do like an in-depth class about tarot education and then expect to sell readings. It's just not in that group. Now, if you wanted to do, a group based solely off educating people on tarot and teaching tarot, and you wanted to do your short and long posts in other people's groups to sell readings, that's one thing. But again, it's not your group that the focus is on. Your focus is on the tarot education, right? Focus number 2 is networking based, which is my focus, mostly my focus. The second focus is to position the group as a support group for other professionals in your field or a very similar field. Like, for example, I was a tarot reader, an astrologer, and numerologist, but I also work with mediums and Reiki healers, energy healers, and life coaches, and, all these other people that are in a similar field, all of these self-development types of fields. And if you do it this way, you'll most likely be teaching and educating other professionals and positioning yourself as the authority on some sort of standard in your industry, right? So in effect, you will be teaching your methods to other professionals to use on their clients. Okay, this is big. Pros, you set the standard and you'll network with other professionals with the goal of cross-promoting and affiliate marketing. Like I do my time to shine when I have time, and I do like some podcasts and things like that, the video casts, other things. We do spotlighting other professionals in the group, and I do a lot of referrals, and I try to get people to buy from other people in the group, and it's a lot of affiliate marketing. The con is you have the illusion of competition. Which, there is a such thing as competition when it comes to like directly to what you sell. Chances are that's probably not going to happen, because if you went through the 5-day marketing challenge, then you figured out how you're unique and how you can only do what you can do, right? And how nobody else can exactly do how it is that what you do. But you have to be completely secure in who you are and what you do and how you help people and how you're different. You have to know exactly how you're different. Because if you don't, this could totally mess up your vibe. And I would say if you have not been a service provider and making money and doing this full time and regularly scheduling clients for at least a couple years, do not go with number 2. Just don't do it, because you're not emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually ready for that responsibility. However, if you have been doing this for a long time, if you've been doing readings for years and years and years, you've been doing this for 5 years, and you have a dedicated clientele, and you're not struggling to schedule, your reading clients and things like that, and you want to start networking with other professionals because you want to start expanding your streams of revenue, then absolutely number 2 will definitely help you. It will definitely help you. But you have to come with terms, and you have to be okay with the fact that other professionals are going to profit from your work, right? So you just have to keep that in mind. For example, you wouldn't start a group with a focus on teaching your methods and strategies and techniques and expect to sell coaching sessions, because if you teach your secret sauce, you are effectively eliminating your position. Like, you wouldn't want to teach how to do yoga for other professionals and then expect to sell coaching sessions on for regular people on how to do yoga. Instead, you're going to schedule coaching sessions on how to train other professionals, on how to teach those professionals how to make money, on how to teach with yoga, right? So will you sell some coaching sessions? I mean, sure, but it's going to be really hard, because basically your group is appealing to the people who want to learn how to profit off your methods. They want to make money with your brilliance, and instead of buying coaching. So chances are they're probably not going to come to you for yoga instruction if you're mainly teaching other professionals how to do yoga coaching. Does that make sense? So you need to understand like where the connect is and figure out where the disconnect is. If you want to harness your group to sell coaching, you'll want to instead educate your clients on how coaching can help them, why they need coaching, what kinds of coaching there are, and what kind of results that you get with your coaching, and that sort of thing. But not teaching how to coach or how to do specific sessions. So I hope that makes sense. Growing your group. The easiest way to figure out how you're going to position the group is to really look at what you truly want to sell. It all starts with, what do you want to sell? You need to know that first. Even if you don't know the specifics, exactly how you're going to sell it and what medium you're going to deliver the education in, how it's all going to come together, you just need to know the basics. You need to know what you're going to sell, even if you only have the one sentence. I want to sell tarot readings, or I want to teach people how to read tarot, or so many other things that you could come up with. So you need to know what it is, what you're selling, and what your focus is first. Are you going to help other professionals? Are you going to do education for professionals, or are you going to do education for potential, just your average, like people who are not professionals who just want the service instead of learning how to do the service to teach others to make money off of it, right? So you put something evergreen together. I mean, it could be some type of audio series. I did a 10-day audio series about Make Tarot Your Business. It was like a 10-day workshop. It was very surface looking back, it was very surface level, but back then it was really in depth for me. I really went all out. It took me like a couple of months to put it together. And it could be do something that's evergreen. Don't do something seasonal at first, because you want to make sure that the energy that you're putting out there, and putting into the products and services that you sell, these opt-ins and these freebies and things you're going to use to build your community, you want to make sure that they're going to get a longer shelf life than something seasonal. So, for example, I probably wouldn't do something like holiday based or anything like that as your first initial freebie. You want this to be something that 3 years down the line is still getting people into your group, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to construct a blog post with 3 points about the evergreen product. We've talked about this in Blogging 101. And you're going to create a CTA, a call to action opt-in, to get the free mini version. They can either, you can set up the automation and with the invitation to join your group, or you can set it up to where they can download it from the pin post of your group or something like that. But however you set it up, it needs to be like the next logical step is to actually join your group to get that product. And so now that you have this, you can do a couple of different things. I'm actually going to give you a worksheet and it's not a worksheet. It's like it's a guide that has 11 ways that you can build up grow your group for free. But if you want to, you can boost your post on Facebook ads, or you can use long posts and short posts and post in other people's groups with the scheduler. That scheduler I gave you, where you can do promo days and things like that. And in my group, I have certain days, like on Wednesdays specifically, where I say it's the Share Your Brilliance Wednesdays, where people can post their groups, their invitations, their freebies, all that kind of stuff. So it takes a little bit of investigative work, especially if you're not going to do ads and you need to do it the free way, which I highly recommend. Exhaust all the free ways first before you move on to Facebook ads. Facebook ads is probably going to be module 21. It's probably going to be our December module, so it's going to be a little while before I get there. So you have plenty of time before you need to get to Facebook ads. You're going to get some stuff that you can use before then. Here's some ideas that I've written down. You can put a link to your group in your signature. You can place an image with a link in your group for all of your freebies, things like that. I'm not going to cover all of this right now. If you need to refresh on how to do the featured image and stuff like that, you're going to go to the Quick Start Guide Day 3. It's called Facebook Hacks That You Need to Know. And then you're also going to get 11 ways to grow your group. It's a thing that you can print out and you can just look at anytime you need some inspiration. And the thing is, your group will grow, and you just talk about it. You talk about it a lot. You take advantage of these networking days, and you do all of these 11 things that I've come up with for you to do. And it is a little bit of work until you get your first 200 people, but every time you do a workshop or a series or challenge, your group is going to definitely grow by referrals. So once you get your first 200 people, then you start to see, okay, 1 or 2 people might put in an application to join every single day. Now weekly, I get anywhere probably between 20 and 30 people trying to join my group. So, and I'm only at I don't even know, we have 500 people. So it grows very, very fast, but it's that first 200 people, the 200 to 250, that makes it that's the grind. That's the hustle part of it. But once you get to a point where you're regularly releasing content, you're doing workshops, series, challenges, and people are inviting their friends and things like that, and you're getting some momentum, it starts to kind of build on its own. And above all, be patient. A quality community really takes time to build, and I say this all the time. There's a reason why there's only about 500 people in my group right now. Numbers are deceiving, right? There's social proof and there's financial proof. My financial proof is anywhere between 3 to 5K per month off of my 500 people in my group. There's this whole thing where it's oh, I really need 60,000 people in my group, or I need 5,000 likes on Facebook, and I need 1,000 Twitter followers, and if I don't have 2,500 Instagram followers, I will die. I will explode, and I will die, and I'm a failure. And that's just not how it is. Numbers are nice and all as far as social proof goes, but if that social proof is not actually converting to financial proof, then what is the point of having all of that? So it's not a popularity contest. And if you look at it as a popularity contest, I guarantee you're going to be forever disappointed and nothing's ever going to measure up and you're not going to make as much money as you want because you're going to be focusing on all the wrong things. So for me, I vet every single person that comes in. I look at them, I look at their group, I look at their posts, I look at their energy, I might pull a tarot card on them. I look and see if they are going to be a good fit because there's no point in having a group of 5,000 people if only, 30 of them are buyers, right? I would rather have a group of 500 people that are buyers and say screw the 5,000 community. It doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. Social proof is not financial proof. Yes, it can go hand in hand, but your social proof should be your second priority. Your financial proof should be your first priority always. And don't focus on building those numbers up and seeing that as a measure of your success. That's very short scoped. It's very, that's very surface level. It's not going to get you very far. It's not going to make you a lot of money. And I literally know groups that have like 50,000 members that people are always fighting in and nobody gets along and people are leaving all the time. And there's so much drama and the energy is so crappy that the owners can't make any money off of because they're focused on having a group of 50,000 people as their measure of success rather than the financial proof. So it's not always about how many people you have in your circle, but it's about the quality of it. So I don't want you to freak out about how your group only has 50 people or 100 people or your group only has 25 people or 500 people or only 1,000 people because it doesn't matter. That shit doesn't matter at all. So see the handout, 11 ways to grow your group for free. We've talked about this, quality versus quantity. There's a video that goes along with this. It's called Vetting People and Booting Out Troublemakers. We're going to talk about this here in just a second. So vetting people is an extremely effective way of making sure that you're adding quality people. Now, your level of vetting just depends on the focus of your group. Now, if your group's focus is the number one, where you're focusing on selling your services and you are the sole educator and there's no promo, then vetting people hardcore really isn't that necessary because it's a little bit more of a relaxed, casual atmosphere, and you will automatically have a bigger audience because logistically, I mean, there's only 60,000 to 100,000 spiritual coaches and teachers worldwide, right? And there's millions of people who are interested in buying coaching and teaching. Now, if your group is more like focus number 2, that's when the extreme vetting process comes in, right? So with my group, its focus is as a support group for other professionals in relatable fields, but also as a way to sell my services and sell my courses and my programs and workshops and all that kind of stuff. So the first qualification is that people need to be a professional in a related field. That's how I know that they're actually making money. That's how I know that they're going to be a buyer. Because if they don't have a business, then chances are they're not going to have any money and they're not going to buy my stuff, right? And I really don't want people who aren't serious about running businesses in my group. I really want the serious people. I don't want people who are wannabes. I don't want the lurkers. I don't want the people that are there just, taking up space. I don't want that. So for me, I've set up my Facebook group to automatically interview people to make sure they are a good fit. And there's interview questions that you can ask people on. What the first question is, tell me more about your business. If they leave that blank or they don't answer the questions, then you can see how I kind of go through it in that video. I'll vet them, and if I can't find any inclination whatsoever that they have a business or they're interested in running a business or something like that, or they don't belong to any other entrepreneurial groups or marketing groups or anything like that, or they don't have any friends in common, or we don't have any groups in common, then I know right away that they're probably not going to be a good fit. And see, the thing is, you don't really have to interview people unless your focus is more like number 2, which is mine. It might not even be necessary, though I still recommend putting like at least one question as a measure of defense against spam accounts and porno bots. I mean, it is a thing. There are accounts that are run completely by bots and AI that just will spam, really nasty stuff, really gross porn and racial stuff and just stuff that's just like, it's like clickbait, stuff that'll give you viruses and stuff like that. So I do recommend vetting people in some way, shape, or form. If like, for example, if they just joined Facebook yesterday and they only belong to 2 groups, I'm probably not going to let them in. If they belong to 1,000 groups and none of them have anything in common and they're all just a bunch of groups, then it's probably likely that they are a spam bot, or they're a spam account, or they're going to be doing some sort of, they're going to be linking where you're going to get a virus and things like that. So check that video out. It's going to show you actually how to go through and check people. I'll show you how to check their groups, how to, like, just kind of tap into their energy a little bit in a really practical way to be able to see if they're actually going to be a good fit. In worst case scenario, you say no, and then they come back a week later and they put another app in, and maybe you give them a shot that time. But I tend to be a little bit more protective about my group personally. Naming your group. So the best way I've found to name a group is to actually call it exactly what it is. So my group is Heart Center Spiritual Business Support. You don't want to make people guess. You don't want it to be misleading. You don't want it. You can make your group name cute and like a play on words and funny and punny, but you really don't want to if you really want people to understand what it is that you're doing here. So the majority of people, they just don't read. They don't read. We know this from the psychic hotlines. You can put whatever you want in your profile. It doesn't mean they're going to read it. People don't read. They don't read descriptions. They don't read headers. They don't read community pages explaining in depth what your group is about. You have to almost assume that nobody is ever going to read anything and just be pleasantly surprised when they do. When they do, that's how you know you found someone that you really want to focus that relationship on and nurture. Because it's hard for us, more like aware / intelligent people, that we are really aware of our surroundings. We really put a lot of thought into where we go and where we put our time and energy in. And what we have to realize is that we are the minority. We are a very rare type of person, and I know it's hard to understand, but there's the majority of people out there, 80% of people out there, just simply don't have that type of foresight. They don't have that type of ability to be as self-aware as we are. It might sound snobby, but after doing this, for 5 or 6 years now, it's just like something that I've continually run into, and I have yet to be proven wrong about this. And so part of vetting people, is making it really clear about what your group is about. So people need to know by a glance and within less than 5 seconds what your group is for. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of people who come in and are terribly confused about the group's focus. If you teach about tarot, or your group is about tarot, and you don't put tarot in your group title, you're going to get the fundamentalist Christians coming in. Well, I didn't sign up for this. And it's like, lady, how could you miss it? You know what I mean? So you have to be really explicit. You have to be very explicit. And what you sell should be the name of the group, right? I literally sell Heart Center Spiritual Business Support. It can be a play on words, but if it's tarot related or whatever it is related to what you do, make sure it's in the word of the group name. Make sure it's there. So if your group is shamanic based, shaman or shamanic needs to be in the title, etc., etc. So the easier you make it for potential leads to know right away what they're getting into, the more successful and on mission your group will become. People respond most appropriately to clearly defined roles and labels and structure. People need structure. People thrive in structure. So do yourself and your potential leads a favor by being 100% clear on what your group is about, by working that into your group name. And this is going to save you a lot of headache later with troublesome people who just don't get it, and they don't have the intelligence or the foresight or the self-awareness to be able to understand what they're getting themselves into. I don't understand how these people put their pants on. I don't understand how they operate a vehicle. I don't understand, but trying to understand these people is just going to make you insane. So it's better to just be on the defense about it, and then you're not going to deal with this as much. You'll deal with it a little bit, but it's not going to be as much. Mission and message. So your group's mission and message will be the most polarizing stance that you can make. I've talked about this. Polarizing is the us versus them. And it's the most beneficial, really, for ensuring that your group stays on target. The reality is that while you know the value of your group and what it stands for, how it makes the world a better place, and some just won't see eye to eye with that. They will be in direct conflict with that. And I've talked about this before. They benefit something from trying to control that narrative for their benefit, or they've got some severe trauma that they have not started on their journey towards healing and improvement and evolution and that sort of stuff. And so the wisdom here is knowing that you literally cannot please everybody. You can't. It's a fool's mission to even try. So nor should you really want your group to be for everybody. If it's for everybody, we've talked about exclusivity before, right? People want to feel like they're part of something, especially something secret or something exclusive, something underground, something unpopular, something that's like, if your group caters to everyone and everyone, it really doesn't stand for anything. In the general scope of things, it really doesn't matter. It's not important. People don't care for it. It doesn't say anything. It's good to niche your group down and to make it a little bit more polarizing. And by doing this, you're going to create less tension and conflict in general, because those people that are naturally repulsed or repelled by your message are not ready to do the healing or transformational stuff. They're just not going to join because they're going to be so repulsed by that. They're just going to go off and they're going to find where they're going to be happy, and they're going to find their tribe and the group that's on their mission and what they want out of life and what they value and what they believe in and all that kind of stuff. Everybody has that right. Everybody has the right to, go with what they believe and what they value and stuff. So if you can do this, if you can polarize a little bit, if you can niche down a little bit, then you're going to basically ensure that pretty much all members and all potential leads are more likely to be your ideal client than not. There's a handout for you, your group's mission and message. Creed and manifesto. So if your mission is what your group hopes to accomplish, and your message is your underlying truth of your mission, then your creed and your manifesto are what your group stands for and intrinsically believes to be true. How your group makes the world a better place, and by what merits or statements is that true. And you're going to get a handout, your community's creed and your community's manifesto. For example, one of my manifesto statements is that making money can be easy and fun. There are some people that do not believe that are in direct conflict to that, and that would not be a good person for me to work with. Another is that a person doesn't need to hold down a conventional job to be self-sufficient and financially independent. There are a lot of people out there who don't believe that, who believe that you need a 9-to-5, that believe trying to run some online business is malarkey and it's a scam and it can't be done. All these sort of things people tell themselves. And if you go back to module, I can't remember what it was, maybe perhaps 7 or 8, it was kind of early on. We talked about ethics and boundaries and stuff. So you might want to go back there and just kind of look at that and maybe revisit that and see if you've changed your perspective on some things and maybe see if there's anything there for you. All right. I think we have gotten through part 1. How exciting. So this has been part 1. It's been an hour and a half long. There's another one that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to go ahead and release this today along with these worksheets. And then I will get to the second part where we're going to start talking about challenges and workshops and actually how to schedule these things and all that kind of stuff. And what the differences are and how that works and the technical aspects of all of that. So today is really just theory. I really just want you to start working on these individual components, and then probably Friday, upcoming Friday, is when I'm going to film the second and possibly the third half of this module. So I will see you in the Facebook group. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody comes up with. So feel free to post all of your worksheets or journaling. I really want to help you with this.